Chapter 51, Making Enemies Before Getting Married. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As they say, you get what you work for. Thanks to Lu Changjing's relentless effort, he finally located the fallen imported grape and popped it in his mouth. The taste was noticeably better than regular grapes, a testament to its unique fragrance. After polishing off a box of spiritual fruits and items, Tan Qingyun couldn't contain herself, snuggling into Lu Changjing's arms. "Honey, I heard the barbarian saint wants to be the head honcho of the harem. Is that true?" With the pleasantries out of the way, it was time for the real reason for her visit. Tan Baobao clearly had an agenda. Lu Changjing, having anticipated this, responded confidently, "Don't worry, sweetheart, she's dreaming if she thinks she'll be running the show. You're way more suited to the job. Hee, you know me so well." Tan Qingyun was overjoyed and nearly tumbled over in his arms. "I heard barbarian women are into snakes, bugs, and poisonous ants. They might have creepy crawlies hidden on them. The thought alone gives me the chills. If she became the boss, it would be a nightmare. Not that I'm angling for the top spot, or concubine Rome would come after me." Seeing Tan Qingyun's apprehension, Lu Changjing chuckled, "You're that scared of concubine Rome? Has she ever laid a hand on you?" "Not exactly." Tan Qingyun shook her head. "But she slapped my maid and nearly killed her. She doesn't mess around. If I hadn't been quick on my feet, I might have been next." "Wow." Lu Changjing was taken aback. He knew Rong Xiao was assertive, but not that assertive. Of course, the queen ruled the roost in the harem, outranking all the concubines. Then came the imperial concubine and the imperial concubine, followed by the 10 principal concubines, like Concubine Duan, Concubine Yi, and Concubine Jin. So, while Tan Qingyun wasn't quite on par with Rong Xiao, she wasn't far off. Things usually didn't escalate to physical altercations, but Rong Xiao had almost gone after Tan Qingyun. "What did you do to get Concubine Rong so riled up?" Lu Changjing asked, intrigued. Tan Qingyun huffed, "So what if I ate her homing pigeon? Talk about being a drama queen. Seriously?" Lu Changjing was speechless. If he remembered correctly, Rong Xiao's homing pigeon was the sole living creature she brought in her dowry. Her mother had supposedly caught it and given it to her, so she could look at it whenever she missed her hometown. That homing pigeon represented Rong Xiao's connection to home. It was incredibly precious, and Tan Qingyun ate it. If she weren't Concubine Jin, Rong Xiao might have straight up murdered her. Maybe the imperial concubine, while a bit high-strung, had a point. He playfully swatted Tan Baobao's backside. "You kind of had it coming. You knew how much that bird meant to her, and you still ate it. Hee. Tan Qingyun giggled, licked her lips, and declared, "Totally worth it, even if I almost got beat. That pigeon was amazing, the best bird I've ever had." Lu Changjing, amused by her audacity, kissed her to shut her up. After Tan Baobao left, before he could tidy up, Lin Yisin waltzed in, humming, "Did Tan Qingyun beat me to it? I shouldn't have bothered making that spiritual fruit porridge. I wanted to get to the imperial study before she did." Before Lu Changjing could reassure her, Lin Yisin continued, "Is the barbarian saint really trying to be the big cheese of the harem? Seriously?" "Yep, but I shut that down." Lu Changjing smiled. Lin Yisin scoffed. "You've got your head screwed on straight. How could a barbarian woman covered in creepy crawlies even dream of being the queen of Daning? Once she marries into the harem, I'll show her what's what. I'll make her admit she's wrong." "That's right, Sister Xian." Lu Changjing agreed with a smile, pulling her close and setting the food box aside. Lin Yisin sniffed the air. "I can still smell Tan Qingyun. I want to erase every trace of her." With that, she launched herself at Lu Changjing, rubbing herself against him in an effort to transfer her scent and obliterate Tan Qingyun's lingering presence. Lu Changjing's face flushed from the friction, feeling like it was on fire. He quickly grabbed a mouthful of imported spirit wine and kissed Lin Yisin to stop her from causing any more chaos. After Lin Yisin left, Lu Changjing could no longer suppress the medicinal energy surging through him. He started channeling the Emperor Jingshi Ju with everything he had, absorbing the energy from the spiritual fruits and wine, and accelerating his cultivation at an incredible rate. The next day, Rong Xiao, Tang Qingyi, and others arrived to quiz him about the barbarian saint's ambition. Reassured by Lu Changjing's answer, they left satisfied. Clearly, nobody wanted a barbarian queen running the harem. It would be a disaster for the concubines, and the entire court. Even Queen Mother Hua Yanxiu came by about the same issue, underscoring the gravity of the situation. Suffice it to say, there was next to zero chance the seventh saint of the mountain barbarians would become empress. She hadn't even married into the palace, and she was already public enemy number one. If she did marry in, she'd be in for a rough time. However, negotiations between the Ministry of Rites and the mountain barbarian envoys were still underway, and the marriage was still uncertain. Regardless, Lu Changjing knew Ning Zhongyu and Xuanhuan would never send troops to assist the mountain barbarians. They couldn't even afford the resources, let alone wage war for them. The mountain barbarians wanted the seventh saint to marry the Emperor of Daning to secure Daning's support. If Daning didn't back their crusade against the blood barbarians, the marriage would likely fall apart. While he was curious about what the seventh saint looked like, he wouldn't send troops against the blood barbarians for her. Plus, he'd have to split the spoils 90 out of 10 with the mountain barbarians. They'd get 90%, and he'd be stuck with 10%. Even if Lu Changjing were as incompetent as Ning Zhongyu, he wouldn't be that stupid. A few days later, the initial round of negotiations concluded. Although Xuanhuan didn't want Lu Changjing in charge, he shared the results with him, letting him play the role of a competent emperor. Chapter 52 Soul-Picking Hook. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the Ministry of Rites weighed in, the Xuanhuan envoys backed off on making one of their seven saints the queen, but now they're gunning for the imperial noble consort title. In the harem, you've got the queen, then the imperial noble consort and noble consort. The queen's top of the heap, followed by the imperial noble consort, and then the noble consort. Below them are the 10 major concubines, all considered first rank, so, the imperial noble consort is in a position to sneeze at, especially since Rong Xiao, the king of the southwest's only daughter, already holds it. She's basically royalty, the Xuanhuan envoys wanting one of their seven saints as imperial noble consort. That puts Rong Xiao in a tight spot. The Ministry of Rites is still a hard no. In their book, giving one of the Xuanhuan tribe's seven saints a spot among the 10 major concubines is already a generous offer. They figure a Jingfei position would suit one of the seven saints just fine. It'd teach her some respect and show her the pecking order in Daning's harem and court. Anything higher is out of the question. The 10 major concubines are the limit the Ministry of Rites, and currently, Xuanhuan, are willing to accept. As for Lu Changjing's 2 cents. Nobody cares. Xuanhuan already laid down the law. He's willing to let one of the Xuanhuan tribe's 7 saints be a Jingfei, one of the 10 major concubines. Anything beyond that is someone else's problem. He just wants to be left alone, playing emperor. Of course, if the Xuanhuan tribe gets pushy, the position could be downgraded. A second-rank wife, a second-rank noble concubine, a second-rank concubine. All possibilities. Unless something drastic happens, the Xuanhuan tribe's 7 saints aren't bumping anyone out of the noble consort or imperial noble consort spots. Then there's the whole sending troops to deal with the blood barbarians thing. Just like Lu Changjing figured, the Daning dynasty isn't going to war over money, but, hey, if the Xuanhuan tribe wants to foot the bill for Daning's troops and throw in some serious compensation, Ning Zhongyu and Xuanhuan might just be persuaded to send in the cavalry. The official Daning dynasty line. They're dead set against fighting the blood barbarians, but they're totally down to marry off one of the mountain barbarians' 7 saints for free. Basically, it's a low-key way of backing the mountain barbarians, which might spook the blood barbarians and make them think twice about attacking the Fulong Mountains, but the mountain barbarians' envoys see it as getting one of their prized saints for nothing, so they're not exactly thrilled with the deal. They're still hashing it out, and compromise doesn't seem likely. Plus, guys like Wei Shangang, who already have a beef with the mountain barbarians, are stirring the pot, which is only making the mountain barbarians' envoys more stubborn. Lu Changjing probably doesn't have to marry one of the 7 saints of the mountain barbarians. It's a bit of a bummer, but when you remember how those mountain barbarians are all about poisonous bugs and critters, you realize that if the 7th saint of the mountain barbarians was into that, too, a surprise poisonous insect during a bedroom game could be a real problem. If it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. The harem's already bursting at the seams with concubines, and selections are still underway. Losing one of the 7 saints of the mountain barbarians isn't a big deal. After letting Lu Changjing know where things stood, Xuanhuan took off again, probably to wrangle the Jinyui. Lately, the Jinyui and the Jinyao division have been at each other's throats. One's trying to make peace with demons and monsters, and the other's itching to slay them for rewards. Even if they wanted to avoid conflict, it's pretty much impossible. To make matters worse, the border's been getting hairy, so the Daning dynasty has a bunch of troops tied up there, which is creating opportunities for demons and monsters to cause trouble. The big problem is that Ning Zhongyu's appetite for resources and treasures is insatiable, but he's already bled the royal secret treasury and the national treasury dry, so now he's got his sights set on demons and monsters. To get his hands on those sweet demon and monster resources, Ning Zhongyu, Chao Wenzheng, Zhao Jintian, and the gang have been getting increasingly ruthless, and that's emboldening the demons and monsters like crazy. Monsters and demons are popping up everywhere, which is giving the demon suppression department a field day, killing them and trading their heads for rewards and treasures. But since the Jinyui have some shady deals going on with these monsters and demons, it's a recipe for conflict. Putting all that mess aside, Lu Changjing focused on his practice. After a few hours, he felt a faint pulse in his mind. His first soul-picking hook had finally been bred. The newborn hook was tiny, about the size of a grain of rice, and pure white, almost see-through. It could sneak into an enemy's spiritual sea and snatch a wisp of their 3 souls and 7 spirits, giving him control over their life and death. The new hook could only snag a wisp from ordinary warriors, though. It needed more training and growth to take on warriors of the same level, or even stronger ones. With the birth of his first soul-picking hook, Lu Changjing felt the pressure on his spiritual sea increase, but compared to its already formidable state, it was nothing. After testing the hook's power and effect, Lu Changjing nodded in satisfaction. Now that he had taken it to its current extreme, he was ready to find someone to do the experiment. Chao Wenzheng was a bit of a handful, but his good-for-nothing nephew, Chao Shuyuan, should be fair game. With a sly grin, he was just about to get back to his practice when he heard a shout from outside. The imperial concubine has arrived. Show her in. Lu Changjing was a little surprised, but he had a hunch what this was about, and immediately ordered Rong Xiao to be admitted to the imperial study. Bang! Once inside, Rong Xiao dismissed her entourage and shut the door to the study. Your Majesty, is it true that the Xuanhuan tribe wants the imperial noble consort position? Rong Xiao wasted no time getting to the point, her voice laced with anger. Lu Changjing smiled. It's true, but I have no intention of agreeing. At most, I'll give her the position of a principal concubine, and even that's unlikely to happen. Don't fret, my dear. Ever since he started enjoying Rong Xiao's benefits, Lu Changjing had found the seemingly domineering imperial noble consort particularly agreeable, so he had changed her title to my dear. Of course, if Chao Wenzheng were around, Lu Changjing would switch back to the original title to avoid the old man's nagging. The same went for imperial consort Tang Qingyi, consort Yi Zhou Rulan, and so on. Hearing Lu Changjing's assurance, Rong Xiao felt relieved. Although she suspected the emperor wouldn't agree, her father was the king of the southwest and the first line of defense against the Xuanhuan tribe. The Xuanhuan tribe's request was clearly a jab at the king of the southwest, meant to offend him, as the Daning dynasty's southwestern shield, unless the emperor had lost his mind or wanted to deliberately target the king of the southwest. He'd never strip her of her imperial concubine title. Even knowing it was a false alarm, Rong Xiao was still furious. Chapter 53. You can't blame me for not having the willpower. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Your Majesty, how about I drop my dad a line and ask him to teach these arrogant mountain folks a lesson? Show them what the Daning dynasty is really made of. Rong Xiao's face was like ice, and she clearly wasn't kidding. Lu Changjing, seeing this, quickly intervened. Honey, you can't do that. You know the royal treasury and the national treasury are stretched thin right now. We can't afford a war. Just let it go, okay? I'm not signing off on it. Don't worry, Your Majesty, you won't need to raise any funds. Just leave it to my father, Rong Xiao said with a smile. Lu Changjing was taken aback, but shook his head. It's not necessary. We're not that upset with the Xuanhuan tribe yet. Besides, the blood barbarians are already giving the Xuanhuan tribe a hard time. Why should we get involved? These Xuanhuan envoys are just asking for too much. We should ignore them. Lu Changjing stood up and embraced Rong Xiao. When I become a god, I'll flatten the entire Xuanhuan tribe, and then you can decide what happens to them. Okay, then I'll be waiting for the day you flatten them, Rong Xiao said, her face turning red. She felt the heat where Lu Changjing was holding her, making her a little unsteady. Lu Changjing realized this imperial concubine, always so arrogant, was actually inexperienced. Just a little closeness at the right moment could fluster her and make her forget her stubbornness. After comforting Rong Xiao, Lu Changjing sent the slightly dizzy imperial concubine on her way. The idea of riding to the king of the southwest to attack the mountain barbarians was dead in the water. Lu Changjing didn't want any trouble right now. The upcoming marriage was already a headache. If the king of the southwest attacked the mountain barbarians, how would he ever practice in peace? And if Xuanhuan blamed him, that would be even worse. Having dealt with the mess, Lu Changjing went back to his quiet practice, as if the marriage wasn't even happening. Anyway, he couldn't make any decisions. Xuanhuan was handling it all, so why worry? Even if he wanted to, Xuanhuan wouldn't let him. Why waste the energy? Better to keep practicing, improving, honing his combat skills. And maybe spend some quality time with Tan Bao Bao and Xian Mimi, enjoying the finer things. Considering the urgent need for the soul-picking hook to deal with Xuanhuan, Lu Changjing spent more time practicing the soul-picking technique and increasing his spiritual power. Plus, his chi and body refinement were advancing so quickly, he needed time to adjust. So most of Lu Changjing's day was spent on the Royal Dragon Soul Sutra and the soul-picking technique, even if he wanted to slow down the progress of both. It was impossible. In just a few days, Lu Changjing's spiritual cultivation reached the second-level Grandmaster level. He could clearly sense any movement within dozens of feet. That wasn't enough to detect outside the Imperial study, but it wasn't far off, thanks to the immortal demon body's concealment. Even if his spiritual power detected a Grandmaster, they wouldn't find him, which was a major advantage. The surge in spiritual power was amazing, but the cost was high. He'd already used 3 of the 10 high-level spiritual pills. Each of these pills was worth several hundred low-grade spiritual stones. In just half a month, Lu Changjing had spent over 1,000 low-grade spiritual stones on spiritual cultivation alone. No wonder Ning Zhongyu had emptied the royal treasury and the national treasury. To maintain his rapid cultivation and ensure a stable foundation, he needed far more resources than Lu Changjing. He also had to reward his subordinates and buy treasures to protect his spiritual veins, dantian, and spiritual sea from damage from the Huangji divine art. So, while Ning Zhongyu's progress wasn't as fast as Lu Changjing's, he needed resources and treasures that cost several times or dozens of times as much. The immortal demon body saved Lu Changjing a ton of resources. Even so, he still felt the pinch. He'd spent almost half of what he'd gotten by freeloading. At this rate, he'd be broke in a few months. Resources to improve the soul and body were especially rare, but he was burning through them just as fast as the chi cultivation stuff. At this rate, he could be cleaned out of resources for his body and soul cultivation when he's promoted to the 4th-level master level. He sighed. Even with the high costs, he had to keep practicing. Once his spirit, energy, and spirit all reached the 4th-level master level, and he improved his combat skills, he'd be in the same ballpark as a high-level master. Especially in soul and body cultivation, he would totally dominate Xuanhuan. A surprise attack could seriously injure or even kill him. Then, even in the worst-case scenario, he could escape and return when he was strong enough to take back what was his. Because of the Xuanhuan envoy situation, Xuanhuan wasn't attending morning court. He was spending more time dealing with that, plus the Jinyui and the demons and monsters. This gave Lu Changjing time to practice and improve, and occasionally chat with Tan Qinyun and Lin Yisan. Imperial concubine Rong Xiao, Imperial concubine Tang Qingyi, and concubine Yi Zhou Rulan visited a few times, and they grew closer. He got to the point of touching Rong Xiao from time to time. Tang Qingyi and Zhou Rulan weren't quite there yet, but Lu Changjing figured it was only a matter of time. He wasn't worried Rong Xiao would tell anyone. He knew her type. Besides, he'd secretly taken her Qinkong divine ring, so she wouldn't reveal the matter of love. The concubines were just too charming. It was hard to resist. Lu Changjing wasn't a saint. He'd always fantasized about this kind of thing. Now that he had the chance, he felt a little restless. The pure yang energy flowing through his body certainly tempered his body, but it also had significant side effects. Soon after his physique reached 300 times that of an average person, Lu Changjing's spiritual cultivation hit a bottleneck again. Chapter 54 Top Spirit Armor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bang, 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 bang. Lu Changjing recalled the breakthrough techniques and strategies, focusing his sharp, unparalleled spirit power to hammer at the bottleneck. Even when he slowed the pace and power of his attacks, the force he unleashed was several times, even dozens of times, greater than that of a master at the same level. His physique was already at or even beyond the intermediate master level, so he could afford to mobilize even more power for this breakthrough. If he wasn't playing it safe, Lu Changjing's mental fortitude would have allowed him to channel even more spirit power. After about 15 minutes, cracks began to spiderweb across the bottleneck, a sure sign that the breakthrough was on track. He breathed a small sigh of relief and pressed on. He'd done his homework, mastering the techniques and methods, even studying the experiences and mistakes of those who came before him, learning how to handle any curveballs. For example, if the bottleneck started to close up too fast, he'd use a wave attack, sending surges of spirit power like crashing waves to keep it from recovering, or he could exploit weaknesses, targeting any soft spot to maximize his gains. After another half hour or so, the bottleneck was a mess of cracks, ready to shatter at any moment. Lu Changjing took extra care now, knowing that accidents happened right at the finish line. Crack, crack, crack. Another 15 minutes passed, and the cracks finally converged, and the bottleneck shattered like glass. His spirit power, pushed to its limit, surged through the opening, reaching a new plateau, level 3 spirit refining master. Now, Lu Changjing's body refining, chi refining, and spirit refining were all at the third level master stage, running in sync and boosting each other. Once he fully adjusted, the combined effect would be far greater than just the sum of its parts, possibly even 10 times greater. Feeling the surge of power within him, Lu Changjing smiled with satisfaction. After almost 6 months of grinding, weathering dangers, and even playing the gigolo, he'd finally reached this point. He wasn't quite a mid-level master yet, but he already packed the punch of one, basically on par with Ning Zhongyu. Besides his spirit, energy, and body, his combat skills were also improving fast. The Huangji Yulong step had reached the stage of minor success. He could now cover 100 meters in a single stride, moving like a swimming dragon, even leaping hundreds of meters at a time. Even at minor success, this top-tier skill was already more powerful than many spiritual skills, even those mastered completely. With the Huangji Yulong step alone, Lu Changjing was a force to be reckoned with on both offense and defense. The Imperial Sword technique was at level 4, letting him unleash 4 sword strikes in an instant. Each strike carried his full attack power, meaning that, theoretically, focusing them on one point would deliver 400% destructive force. Too bad he was stuck with regular weapons, not even spirit weapons. Otherwise, the power unleashed would be insane, maybe even posing a threat to high-level masters. After all, besides sharpness and imperial chi, Lu Changjing's sheer strength, thanks to his insane physique, blew away that of a normal level 3 body refining master, and raw power amplified the sword technique's effectiveness. Right now, Lu Changjing was packing over 17,600 pounds of force, almost on par with a 6-star body refining master. Combined with imperial chi, he could probably split a small mountain in half with a single swing. He was also practicing the Shocking Eyes Tribulation and the Vajra Tribulation from the 4 Imperial Tribulations, and had started working on the Heavenly Illusion Tribulation and the God-Slaying Tribulation. He focused most of his time on the Shocking Tribulation and the Diamond Tribulation, aiming to reach minor success as quickly as possible so he could start using their full potential: the Imperial Shocking World Arc, the Imperial Dragon Soul Sutra, the 5 Elements Golden Body Arc, the Soul Picking Technique, the Imperial Wandering Dragon Step, the Imperial 4 Tribulations, the Imperial Swordsmanship. Lu Changjing's schedule was packed. He was busier than the top celebrities from his past life. He averaged less than an hour of rest per day, 2 in his previous life. He spent the other 22 hours grinding, with the help of elixirs, natural treasures, immortal magic bodies, top-tier magic systems, and all sorts of other aids. Lu Changjing was making crazy progress. In just under 6 months, he'd caught up to 20 years of Ning Zhongyu's training. Even though he was tired, feeling his power growing stronger, Lu Changjing thought it was all worth it. Back in his old life, he was always getting bossed around, working just as hard for peanuts, but here, hard work directly improved his overall strength, and even his lifespan. If those grueling 99-6 jobs from his previous life had perks like these, young people everywhere would be lining up. "Honey, guess what I brought you today?" Just after consolidating his level 3 spirit refining mastery, he heard Tan Baobao's sweet voice. Lu Changjing figured it was time for a break. He smiled, stood up, hugged Tan Qingyun close, and grabbed the food box. "Is it spirit milk?" "Not just spirit milk," Tan Qingyun said, smiling. Lu Changjing thought for a moment, pinched her cheek, and teased, "Maybe spirit bananas, grapes, watermelons. All you think about is food?" Tan Qingyun pouted playfully. Lu Changjing chuckled, "What's wrong with liking to eat? I love good food." "Hee, you get me," Tan Qingyun said, hugging his neck. "I'm not getting fat, and I don't have anything to do all day. Can't I eat a little more? Everyone's always on my case, but you never say anything." Lu Changjing smiled. "I just like watching you eat. It's better than any dancer or singer." Hee. Tan Qingyun giggled, quickly opened the food box, and pulled out a high-end spirit armor, handing it to Lu Changjing. "Here, Mom just gave me this dragon and tiger spirit armor. It's a top-tier spirit weapon that's really effective against chi and physical attacks, and even weakens mental attacks a bit. I already have the spirit armor Dad gave me, so this one's just sitting around. You should wear it." Chapter 55. You came at the right time. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A lot of folks look down on guys who get by on their charm, but honestly, there's something to be said for it, especially when that charm scores you favors from a beautiful woman. Like I said before, Lu Changjing never thought he'd be that guy. Back in his old life, he was just average, nothing special to look at, no charisma, a total wallflower. He never imagined he'd be eating high on the hog, and from multiple sources at that. "You're the best, babe. How'd you know I was without my armor?" Lu Changjing didn't hesitate to accept the gift from Tan Qingyun and couldn't help but ask. Tan Qingyun smiled, "Ever since we became close, I've never seen you wear your spirit armor. I figured something must be wrong with it, otherwise you'd be wearing it. You always used to." "You guessed right. I damaged it in that fight with Xuanhuan, so I haven't been wearing it," Lu Changjing said, using the story he'd already confirmed with Xuanhuan. Tan Qingyun obediently helped Lu Changjing put on the dragon and tiger spirit armor. "Even though you're in the palace and surrounded by guards, you still need to be careful. What if some sneaky assassin gets into the palace?" "I appreciate it, honey." "Thanks," Lu Changjing said, hugging Tan Qingyun tightly. After a few sweet deals like that, Lu Changjing felt his standards dropping and his skin getting thicker. He used to cringe at those kinds of videos. Now, he was dishing out the sweet talk like a pro. "Baby, Brother Emperor is really mushy." Just as Lu Changjing and Tan Qingyun were chatting, a sarcastic voice cut through the air. It was Lin Yisan, approaching with a lunchbox, having caught them in a private moment in the study. "Oh." Tan Qingyun jumped back, startled, but Lu Changjing pulled her close and approached Lin Yisan. Before Lin Yisan could get angry, he wrapped an arm around her and said, "If you want to be called baby, I can call you Baby Xian." "Baby Xian." Lin Yisan, who had been fuming, suddenly softened at the nickname. She blushed. "No, I don't want that. Call me Sister Xian. I'm not as shameless as Tan Qingyun." Tan Qingyun pouted, wanting to retort, but remembering Lin Yisan's strong personality and family connections, she stayed quiet. Lu Changjing pushed down his embarrassment, holding both women as he steered them toward the secret room. "Perfect timing, Sister Xian. Jen and I were just talking about how many kids we're going to have. She thinks you have good luck in that department and will definitely have 4 or 5 sons. Hearing that, Lin Yisan, who had been jealous, couldn't resist the compliment. Her cheeks flushed, and she said, "That's too much. I only need 2 or 3, maybe more daughters." Tan Qingyun pouted, but she knew Lu Changjing was just trying to keep the peace and stop Lin Yisan from making trouble for her, so she kept quiet. "I think Sister Qingyun is lucky too. She'll definitely have a few sons," Lin Yisan said, now feeling a little awkward. After all, Tan Qingyun was also the emperor's consort and had discovered the skylight entrance before she had. It wasn't right to be jealous, plus, Tan Qingyun had just wished her well, so she returned the favor, making Tan Qingyun happy. The three went into the secret room, locked the door, and started eating. It was a bit awkward at first, but they loosened up and started laughing. Lu Changjing, the mediator, was both happy and stressed. He figured he should try to avoid these situations in the future. Avoid, well, maybe not. It was nice once in a while, too bad he wasn't more skilled in hidden yang technique. That would make it even better. Before leaving, Lin Yisan gave him a top-tier spiritual weapon, maybe trying to outdo Tan Qingyun, the mountain spirit sword. It was almost a divine weapon. Forged with special spiritual minerals, rumored to include some divine minerals, it could freely adjust its weight with true energy. It weighed as much as 10,000 kilograms, but could be made to weigh hundreds of thousands with enough true energy, or as light as a feather. Its weight was completely at its owner's discretion, making it unpredictable. In Lu Changjing's hands, once he completed the ritual and channeled his true energy, it would feel weightless to him but feel like a mountain to his enemy. This was what made the mountain spirit sword special, and why some called it a semi-divine weapon. Usually, spirit armor was far more valuable than other spiritual weapons of the same level, sometimes several or even dozens of times more valuable, but the mountain spirit sword was just as valuable, if not more so. This unexpected windfall made Lu Changjing drool. Once he sacrificed and refined the dragon tiger spirit armor and the mountain spirit sword, his fighting power and survivability would increase dramatically. That was the power of top-tier spiritual weapons, a huge boost to a cultivator's strength. He could hide it in the Qingkong divine ring and pull it out when needed, surprising Xuanhuan. From now on, Lu Changjing had one more thing to do in his training: adapt to the dragon tiger spirit armor and the mountain spirit sword so he could unleash their full power. He didn't want to hurt himself before taking down his enemy. He wouldn't slack on practicing his various magic skills and arts. Even if it required a lot of resources, it couldn't be helped. What Lu Changjing needed most was time. He had to get strong enough before Xuanhuan figured out something was wrong. As time passed, Lu Changjing's physique continued to improve, along with his talent, strength, reactions, and speed. The increase was far smaller than his physique, but it was a daily improvement, and the accumulation was substantial. Before he knew it, 160 days had passed since Lu Changjing had arrived in this world. Chapter 56 Intermediate Grandmaster. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 1 point of physical fitness each day for 160 days adds up to, well, 160 points. Reaching the third-level master in physical training gave Lu Changjing about 160 physical fitness points, so his current physical condition is incredible, roughly 320 times that of an average person. This means his defense is over 320 times stronger than a regular person's. While his endurance isn't quite as dramatically improved, it's still more than 200 times better. Even though physical training doesn't directly improve innate talent, the 160 points he gained boost his potential far more than it would for typical warriors. Plus, with the improvements from the blood exchange realm's hair removal and marrow washing, Lu Changjing's talent is now approaching 1 in a million. Of course, the higher your talent, the harder it is to improve. Once you break that 1 in a million barrier, who knows how much more physical fitness you'll need to reach the next level. Ning Zhongyu is hailed as the royal family's top genius in the last century, but his talent is only 1 in a million. And he needed tons of elixirs and rare materials to reach that level. Lu Changjing isn't far behind him, and he has a bunch of advantages Ning Zhongyu never had. After all this intense training, Lu Changjing's qi refining, body refining, and spirit refining have all reached the third level of perfection. Next up, breaking through to the fourth level of Grandmaster. Leaping from the third to the fourth level is a major turning point, separating lower-level Grandmasters from mid-level ones. The challenge is much bigger this time, but if he can make it through, the power boost will be huge. after resting for a few days to recover, Lu Changjing started trying to hit the 4th level, starting with qi refining as usual. At this stage, qi refining is the easiest to advance. Once it breaks through, it'll pull body refining and spirit refining along with it. The cultivation system that our ancestors developed over millions of years is refined and tested. Countless practitioners have poured their energy into it. It has proven to be the most efficient and reliable path for humans. Why would Lu Changjing deliberately take a detour when he has such a proven method? In the body refining stage, cultivators use body refining to boost spirit refining, while preparing for qi refining, and eventually nurturing the seeds of internal force, connecting to the world's spiritual energy, and entering the qi refining stage. In the qi refining stage, qi refining fuels body refining and spirit refining, while building the foundation for spirit refining, ultimately paving the way for the birth of the soul. When the spirit refining stage is achieved, the refined spirit drives the growth of body and qi. Throughout these 3 stages, body refining increases lifespan through physical training, qi refining increases lifespan through qi refining, and spirit refining naturally boosts lifespan through spirit cultivation. While the other 2 aspects have some impact on lifespan, it's far less than the primary focus of each stage. That's why almost all human cultivators follow this path. It's progressive, interconnected, and practically perfect. Boom, boom, boom. The surging imperial qi crashed against the bottleneck like a wave, but Lu Changjing felt his body tremble during the impact, as if it couldn't handle the force. He frowned. Although his physique was far superior to other masters at the same level, it was only at the level of mid-level masters. He hasn't built up enough physical strength yet, and his cultivation is advancing too quickly. His physical advantage isn't as strong as it should be. If nothing changes, his current physique will barely carry him through to the 4th level master realm. If he wants to keep pushing forward, he'll have to be more cautious. Going forward, Lu Changjing needs to slow down his cultivation progress, focusing on gathering more resources and improving his physique. It's too bad he hasn't had enough time to build up his power. If he had more time and fewer dangers, he wouldn't have to rush so much. Without overthinking it, he kept mobilizing the massive power of true qi, steadily hammering away at the bottleneck. This time, he was more careful than reckless. Even so, breaking through the barrier was still easier for him than it would be for a similarly ranked warrior. It took over an hour to crack through this time. Just when Lu Changjing thought he was going to fail, a crack finally appeared on the bottleneck. Once a crack appeared, it was basically a done deal. Phew! Lu Changjing let out a sigh of relief and kept hammering. While the Huangji true qi was sharp and could easily hurt him, it was undeniably the most efficient way to break through barriers. Saying it was the best in the world might be a stretch, but it was definitely the best in Daning. Back when the Daning dynasty was still the Daning divine dynasty, Huangji true qi was considered the best true qi in the world. But after the divine dynasty fell and split into empires, many other divine dynasties got their hands on the Huangji divine art system, and the title faded. The main issue was the lack of Huangji body tempering art. Even geniuses who obtained the other skills and combat techniques couldn't make much progress. For tens of thousands of years, no warrior had managed to revive the power and glory of the Huangji divine art system. This turned the great Ning dynasty's royal extreme divine art system into a joke across the land of Shenzhou. Otherwise, the great Ning dynasty wouldn't have been able to keep such a valuable, but flawed, system to themselves. For the divine dynasty, this top-tier divine art system with its huge holes was like a chicken bone, not worth eating, but too good to throw away. Crack, crack. More cracks appeared on the bottleneck, and Lu Changjing's face relaxed even more. This breakthrough was basically guaranteed now. As long as qi refining broke through its restraints and reached the 4th level Grandmaster realm, the path forward for body refining and spirit refining would be much easier. Keeping his mind focused, Lu Changjing controlled the royal extreme true qi as easily as moving his own arm, constantly bombarding the bottleneck like a charging soldier. Even though his spirit veins and dantian were under immense pressure and even started to tremble, they held strong and didn't suffer any real damage. Finally, with a roar, the bottleneck suddenly collapsed, leaving only a few minor injuries on his spirit veins. Luckily, midnight was almost here. When the physical fitness buff kicked in again, it would patch him up completely. Without that boost, Lu Changjing would have needed years and a ridiculously expensive elixir to heal. Chapter 57 Night Vision. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Physique +1. Right after midnight, Lu Changjing felt his physique increase. The injuries from his breakthrough healed at an incredible rate, even his previously shaky foundation solidified. He sensed that his body had broken through some kind of barrier and gained something new. Could it be a new trait awakening? He focused his senses and, sure enough, the immortal demon body's fourth trait emerged, omnidirectional night vision. With this ability, night became like day. He could see everything clearly. As his physique strengthened, this trait would only grow stronger. Eventually, even in dense fog, he'd be able to see perfectly. Even nights made unnaturally dark by formations wouldn't be able to hide anything from him. A strong physique was fundamental to unlocking many traits, and to the continued growth of the immortal demon body. Skills like hiding, deep roots, and now, omnidirectional night vision, all relied on it. Even Grandmasters were affected by darkness in a fight, but with this new trait, night held no threat for Lu Changjing. The tactical advantage was huge. Satisfied, he nodded and resumed his practice, solidifying his breakthrough. The chi refining breakthrough boosted his body and soul cultivation as well, bringing him within striking distance of becoming a fourth-level Grandmaster. It wouldn't be long before he could tackle that bottleneck. Using chi refining to drive body and soul was the standard practice for Grandmasters. 4th to 6th level Grandmasters were considered mid-level. Entering that realm would dramatically increase Lu Changjing's lifespan. He estimated he'd live over 500 years. Most mid-level Grandmasters only lived around 250, rarely more. Lu Changjing was already set to more than double that, thanks to his exceptionally strong physique. He spent several days solidifying his gains and adjusting. Once he could control his true chi, he started on the body refining bottleneck. Chi refining made the body refinement breakthrough much easier. It took about an hour for Lu Changjing to break through the barrier and become a fourth-level body refining master. He could now generate almost 33,000 pounds of force, over 16 tons. Back in his old life, small to medium-sized cranes had a lifting capacity of 1 to 10 tons. Lu Changjing's strength now exceeded medium-sized cranes and approached that of larger ones. Combined with the right skills and techniques, the destructive force he could unleash would far surpass 16 tons, potentially nearing 100. His senses also doubled. He could hear movements hundreds of yards away and see for miles. Compared to the chi refining breakthrough, the body refining one was far more comprehensive and powerful. After more adjustments, Lu Changjing kept pushing, and started attacking the soul refining bottleneck. He swallowed the last calming pill. The surging medicinal power surged in, aiding his breakthrough. Bang, bang, bang. Buzz, buzz, buzz. As he struck the bottleneck, a buzzing sound echoed in his head. His spiritual sea was approaching its limit. That was with Lu Changjing carefully controlling the impact. Without that control, things could have gone sideways. Next, he needed to stabilize. He had to boost his physical fitness further before attempting 5th-level mastery. His imperial true chi and mental power were too potent, almost dangerously so. Without a superior physique, his body couldn't handle it, especially since Lu Changjing preferred to brute force his way through barriers. He wouldn't adapt well to a normal warrior's slower method. His chances of success would plummet. So, against his own desires, he had to hold back for a while before pushing further. Still, with his mental cultivation at mid-level master status, Lu Changjing's overall combat power rivaled that of a high-level master. Combined with his cultivation of spirit, energy, and body, and his top-tier spiritual weapon, he was well protected. Besides, Kai Shior had already found him an escape route. If things got too hot, he could leave the palace and hide in Baiyujing. He could always return for revenge later, when he was strong enough. Crack. After about 90 minutes, a crack appeared in the bottleneck dam. The breakthrough seemed secure. Lu Changjing focused, unleashing his massive imperial spiritual power. If he wasn't worried about damaging his spiritual sea or even harming his very soul, he wouldn't have been so careful. If that happened, even his enhanced recovery might not save him from becoming a fool and making a fatal mistake, and Lu Changjing wasn't sure he could fully recover from such serious damage. After all, his enhanced recovery was just a side effect, not a dedicated trait. Half an hour later, the bottleneck shattered. His spiritual power surged into a new level, 4th level soul refining master. However, some minor scars appeared in his spiritual sea, confirming his need to stabilize and improve his physique. Shaking his head, Lu Changjing began adapting to the surging spiritual power, waiting for midnight. Fortunately, he always attempted breakthroughs at night, before midnight. To prevent this situation, midnight came, and with the boost to his physique, the injuries healed. His foundation solidified. The deep roots trait was extremely powerful. Not as good as strengthening the body, but close. Now he just needed to adapt to his new spiritual power, and learn to coordinate it with his chi and body cultivation to effectively combat enemies. Lu Changjing's spirit and body were now both at the intermediate Grandmaster level. He was a true all-around Grandmaster, with no obvious weaknesses, but the smile soon faded from his face as he realized something that would compel him to take some risks. Otherwise, even with further physical improvement, his progress would stall. Chapter 58, Battle on the Border. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Running on empty. Lu Changjing had known for a while that hitting the 4th level meant resources would get tight, especially for training his body and spirit. The silver dragon blood is why his body refinement had been leveling up so fast lately. Now he's down to about 10 drops from dozens, enough to maybe nudge his body refinement up to the 5th level, Grandmaster level. And the big treasure for boosting his spirit, pretty much the only one, the calming pill, is completely gone. Used up, he's only got half a stash left of spiritual stones, elixirs, and spirit wines for chi refinement, which should be enough to get him to the 6th level, master level. Lu Changjing glanced at the mostly empty blue sky divine ring inside. Looks like he's gonna have to slow down, whether it's settling in, bulking up, or just plain resources, but before his physique gets beefy enough, Lu Changjing needs to figure out how to snag some resources and treasures. Otherwise, even if he does get stronger, he won't be able to keep leveling up so quickly, which means it might be time to take a few risks. Lu Changjing was racking his brain for ways to score resources and treasures when, out of nowhere, Tan Qingyun, the daughter of Longjiang's richest guy, Lin Yisan, the daughter of the king of Hulua, and Rong Xiao, the southwest king's only daughter, and the prime minister's daughter, Tang Qingyi, all popped into his head. Whoa, hold up, I've had enough handouts. No more. Lu Changjing shook his head, pushing those images away. He'd already gotten way too many resources and treasures from his concubines, almost half their entire net worth, especially Rong Xiao, who straight up gave him the blue sky divine ring. No way was Lu Changjing going to try and take advantage of her again. Whatever, he'll think about it later. Building up his body will take a while anyway. He'll just find a good method before then. Since he can't rush things anymore, he should spend more time and energy on combat skills and secret techniques. They're still way too basic. He's not going to waste his time, just can't use it to level up. While he was busy, Lu Changjing barely noticed anything happening outside. He holed up in the imperial study, focusing on cultivation and romance, but the outside world was far from calm. Negotiations between the Ministry of Rights and the Xuanhuan envoys were still dragging on. The Xuanhuan envoys had lowered their request from an imperial concubine to just a noble concubine. Then Prime Minister Tang Chongji summoned the ministers from the Ministry of Rights. He didn't say much, but they instantly got the message. Within 3 days, they'd gotten the mountain barbarian envoys to back down again. Now they just wanted one of the 7 saints of the mountain barbarians to be among the 10 top-ranking concubines. But in exchange, the Daning dynasty had to immediately team up with the mountain barbarians and attack the blood barbarians, and grab the blood beasts that were popping up in the blood barbarians' ancestral lands, plus, the mountain barbarians. Also cut down on their share, from 91 to 73%, so the blood beast mountain barbarians who did the hunting got to keep 70%, and the Daning dynasty would get 30%. As for the cost of the military campaign, that was all on the Daning dynasty, of course. The empty secret treasury and the treasury meant the Daning dynasty couldn't afford to feed its own troops and send them after the blood barbarians. So they had to keep negotiating, but nobody expected what happened next. They got word that another batch of blood beasts had escaped from the Zama blood forest, and they were scattering everywhere, into the Fulong Mountains and even the southwestern part of the Daning dynasty. To grab these precious blood beasts, the Blood Barbarians sent a ton of troops into the Fulong Mountains and the southwestern area of the Daning dynasty to hunt them down. The mountain barbarians, caught off guard, took another beating. Besides losing the blood beasts they captured, the Blood Barbarians also made off with a bunch of their resources and treasures. The southwestern part of the Daning dynasty wasn't much better. But just as they were about to leave Daning territory, the southwest king stepped in, taught the Blood Barbarians a lesson, and hauled back a bunch of blood beasts. Turns out, he's a serious badass who'd been running the southwest of the Daning dynasty for centuries. Even the Blood Barbarians, who were stomping all over the mountain barbarians, got their butts kicked. If it wasn't for the useless Emperor Ning Zhongyu, and the late emperor not being a tough guy, the Daning dynasty wouldn't have been getting pushed around by the mountain barbarians for so long. When the mountain barbarian envoys heard the news, they were speechless. They couldn't believe the Blood Barbarians were so brazen. They'd just gotten looted, and now, just a few months later, they were barging in again like the Fulong Mountains were their own backyard. And seeing how the Southwest King handled the Blood Barbarians made the mountain barbarian envoys a lot less cocky. The Daning dynasty only sent in a Southwest King, and the Blood Barbarians, who were usually so dominant, took a major hit. Meanwhile, the mountain barbarians had been stomped twice by the Blood Barbarians until they were bruised and bloody. They couldn't even get a taste of the blood beasts from the Zama blood forest. Their own territory was getting trashed. Maybe the Daning dynasty didn't need to do anything. The Southwest King alone could work with them and teach the Blood Barbarians a lesson, so the Xuanhuan envoys' demands dropped like a rock. They went from wanting the Daning emperor to lead the charge himself to just asking the Southwest King to step up. But that's not public yet. The two sides are still negotiating based on the previous demands. The Xuanhuan envoy was honest, but Xuanhuan wasn't honest anymore. What is the king of the Southwest doing? He can just let the Blood Barbarians take the blood beasts. Why does he have to stop them by force and provoke the Blood Barbarians? One mountain barbarian tribe is already a headache. If we provoke the more difficult Blood Barbarians, how can we live in peace in the future? No, we must denounce the king of the Southwest's behavior to prevent him from making more excessive moves. At the same time, we must make it clear to the Blood Barbarians that our Daning dynasty has no intention of going to war with them. Seeing Xuanhuan raging in the imperial study, Lu Changjing was reminded of the Qin dynasty from his past life, and guys like Qin Hui from the Song dynasty. He figured they were just like Xuanhuan, cracking down on the heroes who were fighting against foreign powers, always groveling, looking out for their own interests and not giving a damn about the country or the people. Ning Zhongyu, the emperor, was beyond useless. Calling him a traitor wouldn't be an exaggeration. Lu Changjing had never even met the guy, but seeing how Xuanhuan was acting, it was obvious Ning Zhongyu couldn't be any better with a yes man like that in his ear. Soon Xuanhuan issued an imperial edict, supposedly from Emperor Daning, scolding the king of the Southwest. And shortly after, imperial concubine Rong Xiao showed up at the Qianqing Palace's imperial study room. Chapter 59 Concubine Duan meets Concubine Jin, urgently asking for follow-up reading. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Your Majesty, she began, her voice laced with indignation. My father fought tooth and nail against those Blood Barbarians to protect this dynasty and show off Daning's might. The least you could do is not punish him. After that battle, even the mountain tribes got the message and stopped their raids. Isn't that proof enough of my father's victory? Even if Daning prefers to keep a low profile, we still need to flex our muscles now and then. Otherwise, every two-bit warlord will think they can push us around. Rong Xiao stormed into the imperial study, her flawless face blazing with anger. Lu Changjing was just as frustrated. If it were up to him, he'd be showering the Southwest King with rewards, not issuing a royal reprimand. Sweetheart, calm down, Lu Changjing sighed, making sure the study door was locked before taking her hand. Rong Xiao, initially resisting, saw the helplessness in his eyes and her anger began to melt away. Are you saying you were forced into this too? Lu Changjing gave a wry smile. Do you really think I'm calling the shots around here? Rong Xiao was stunned. You couldn't even decide on this. This is a big deal, Lu Changjing said seriously. The late emperor's policy was all about being friendly with everyone, and the regents he left in charge agree with it. Your father's attack on the blood barbarians might seem like a victory to us, but the regents see it as going against the old emperor's wishes. So, I was strong-armed into scolding him. I'm completely stuck between a rock and a hard place. Rong Xiao bit her lip. Is that really it? If that weren't the case, why would I have spent years focusing on my training, emptying both the secret vault and the treasury? I'm trying to change things. There are troublemakers inside the court, and foreign powers are watching us like hawks. The regents are overbearing and treat me like a kid. Lu Changjing spun a yarn. My cultivation is only at the mid-grandmaster level, still not strong enough. They have to protect my own hide. How can I throw my weight around? Tell your father in secret that I support him, no matter what that decree says. Hearing this, Rong Xiao finally believed him and clung to his arm. I was too rash. I didn't realize you were having such a hard time. Those regents you mentioned. Chao Wenjing, Gao Huijing, Zhao Jintian, those jerks. Should I tell my father to round up some people and take them down so you can finally run things? Not yet, Lu Changjing quickly said. Even if we can beat those guys, another bunch of grandmasters will just take their place and do the same thing. I'm planning to wait until I'm a high-level master before I shake off their control and really take charge. Alright, when that time comes, you just let me know. My father will always have your back. Rong Xiao nodded and snuggled closer, looking at Rong Xiao's beauty. Lu Changjing glanced at the closed door and lowered his head to steal a kiss. Rong Xiao stiffened, then groaned softly and relaxed, letting him do as he pleased. A while later, Rong Xiao left the imperial study in a daze, as regal and haughty as ever, but also with the fluttery air of someone newly in love. Lu Changjing smacked his lips. She was so sweet, with a unique taste. If he got the chance, he'd love to try some of her imported treats. They'd probably be amazing. Imagining Rong Xiao making delicacies just for him, Lu Changjing felt his blood heating up, his pure yang energy beginning to surge. While that was good for his training, it was also risky, like walking a tightrope, and he could be consumed by the pure yang fire at any moment. He quickly focused and began to meditate, suppressing the restless energy. A few days later, Lin Yisan, who had come for more imported food, was sent away. Lu Changjing cleaned up after them again, but he didn't know that Lin Yisan, sneaking out of the Qianqing palace, ran into Consort Jin, Xiao Yaoxin, who was on her way to see him. Usually, no one used this path, which was why Lin Yisan had chosen it. Was Xiao Yaoxin here for treats too? Had Tan Qingyun blabbed about the secret entrance? Lin Yisan raised her eyebrows and said, Consort Jin, are you here to see His Majesty? Yes. Did Consort Duan already visit him? Xiao Yaoxin glanced at the food box in Lin Yisan's hand and smiled sweetly. Lin Yisan denied it outright. I was just in Qianqing Palace on other business. I didn't see His Majesty. That's why I took this route. If you wanted to see His Majesty, why didn't you use the main entrance? Hearing Lin Yisan's denial, Xiao Yaoxin paused, a flicker of suspicion in her eyes, but she explained, I was going to, but the Empress Dowager needed to see me. It got late, so I took the shortcut. I see. You should go see His Majesty, then. I need to get back. Lin Yisan hurried away, handing the food box to a maid, then turned back and secretly followed Xiao Yaoxin. Seeing Xiao Yaoxin enter the imperial study through the main door, Lin Yisan relaxed. She didn't want anyone else sharing her brother's treats. Tan Qingyun was already pushing it. No more were allowed. With her worries gone, Lin Yisan left Qianqing Palace and returned to her residence. While Lin Yisan was suspicious of Xiao Yaoxin had also become suspicious of her. As a master of medicine and the most gifted alchemist and physician in Yaowang Valley, she noticed the signs even after he'd cleaned up. Xiao Yaoxin noticed that Lin Yisan's face was flushed, with a hint of passion, and her lips were slightly swollen. It was likely she'd been intimate with a man. P.S. Please read the latest chapters every day. Chapter 60. You are such a loner, please help me read the latest chapter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Even though Xiao Yaoxin wasn't sure Lin Yisan had been getting cozy with the emperor, she suspected it. Lin Yisan came from the Qianqing Palace, so it seemed likely, but Lin Yisan denied it immediately. Could she have been having a secret affair there? The thought shocked Xiao Yaoxin, and she quickly dismissed it. Everyone knew Lin Yisan was sweet on the emperor, they were practically childhood sweethearts. The chances of her cheating were slim to none, which meant Lin Yisan was lying. She was involved with the emperor, but the emperor was supposed to be focused on cultivating his inner strength, barely seeing anyone. How could he be doing that with Lin Yisan? Wouldn't it ruin his progress? Or maybe she was wrong. Maybe Lin Yisan hadn't been with anyone, but then she saw the emperor, and Lu Changjing, whose eyes were a little red and face flushed, and Xiao Yaoxin fell silent. At the same time, Lu Changjing was struck by Xiao Yaoxin's beauty. Concubine Jin had such a unique air about her. She wore a long, ink-colored dress. The simple cut showed off an elegant charm on the delicate silk, her piercing eyes were set in a small face, hinting at a compassionate nature. She reminded Lu Changjing of the truly dedicated nurses and doctors from his past life. Her graceful figure seemed like a fairy stepping out of a landscape painting, leaving a lasting impression. They said Concubine Jin was born in Yaowang Valley, one of the Daning dynasty's 10 major sections. She was the apple of the eye of the valley's master, showing amazing talent for alchemy and healing from a young age. No wonder she had such a unique temperament. My dear concubine, rise. Xiao Yaoxin, a little dazed, stood up. Concubine Jin had gifted him quite a few spirit stones and pills before, so she deserved the title of dear concubine. Xiao Yaoxin smiled and stood up. Your Majesty, I heard your inner cultivation is at a critical point. I happened to acquire a Wuyang bird a few days ago, so I made it into a Wuyang soup. It should help your cultivation. The Wuyang bird was an extremely rare spirit bird, said to have a trace of the three-legged golden crow's blood. A pure young bird soup made from it would be very beneficial. Lu Changjing eagerly took the food box from Xiao Yaoxin. Thank you for your thoughtfulness, my dear concubine. This Wuyang soup is exactly what I need. Don't mind if I do. As long as your Majesty enjoys it. Xiao Yaoxin lowered her head slightly, watching Lu Changjing. She noticed something else unusual, and her heart sank a little. While His Majesty was still a virgin, something wasn't quite right. If Lin Yisan had seduced him and broken his training, that would be bad. No, wait. That was bad. If Lin Yisan got pregnant first, she'd be the most likely candidate for empress, and her son would have a better shot at being crown prince. The eldest prince was generally considered the heir, especially with no empress yet. Lin Yisan couldn't be allowed to succeed. They'd all been waiting for 3 years, and she was pulling a fast one. Xiao Yaoxin, always calm and unwilling to get involved in harem politics, couldn't stay neutral when it came to the empress's position and her children's future, especially since Lin Yisan's actions were breaking all the rules. It was too much. After leaving the Qianqing Palace, Xiao Yaoxin immediately ordered an investigation. Sure enough, Lin Yisan hadn't come through the main gate, she'd snuck into the imperial study from another direction. Was there a secret passage in the imperial study, or another entrance? Where else could Lin Yisan have slipped in? Her cultivation was only at the peak of a warrior, not even as good as her own. If she could sneak into the imperial study, there was no reason she couldn't. Since she couldn't find it, she'd just follow Lin Yisan. Xiao Yaoxin immediately ordered her trusted maid to keep a close eye on Lin Yisan. Lu Changjing and Lin Yisan had no idea that Xiao Yaoxin had become suspicious and was about to give them a surprise. The Wuyang soup was amazing. After just one bowl, his inner cultivation had improved significantly. Catching up to months of practice, Lu Changjing felt invigorated and drank the rest of the Wuyang soup in one gulp. His cultivation was now close to the next level. A few more Wuyang soups, and he would definitely break through, catching up to Ning Zhongyu's years of training. Unfortunately, the Wuyang bird was too rare, and Wuyang soup wasn't something just anyone could make. Getting a second serving wouldn't be easy. With a sigh of regret, Lu Changjing put away the food box and continued to train. A few days later, Lin Yisan snuck out of her room with another food box and headed to the Qianqing Palace. Upon hearing the news, Concubine Jin Xiao Yaoxin immediately sent her trusted maid out to follow Lin Yisan quietly to the imperial study. Seeing Lin Yisan sneaking around, Xiao Yaoxin's suspicions were confirmed, and she grew more and more angry. Lin Yisan, you are Something else. Everyone else is waiting, but you're having all the fun yourself. It's too much, and your majesty was a bit much. If he felt that way about Lin Yisin, why not the rest of them? It wasn't fair. Seeing Lin Yisin climb through a small skylight in a corner behind the imperial study, Xiao Yaoxin gritted her teeth and followed through the same hole. Brother Emperor, are my imported grapes good? Delicious, the best imported grapes ever. Sister Xian, try my imported bananas. I added some seasoning this time, they're even better than last time. Hee, Brother Emperor's imported bananas are more delicious. Watching the two of them feeding each other imported delicacies, Xiao Yaoxin blushed, her heart pounding. She had never experienced anything like this. Although they had been married for years, Ning Zhongyu had never visited her chambers. Xiao Yaoxin was inexperienced in matters between men and women. Seeing such an explicit scene suddenly, she couldn't stay calm. Near the closed-door secret room, Lu Changjing seemed to notice something, and his mental energy spiked. But after realizing the person was hiding in the corner behind the imperial study and wasn't doing anything else, Lu Changjing ignored it and continued to enjoy his time with the clueless Lin Yisin.